Okay, so today we're going to take a look at the Bernie Sanders candidacy and what is now really the Biden candidacy. So Bernie Sanders has dropped out. He's endorsed Joe Biden, and that's pretty upsetting to a lot of us because to many of us who really wanted to see some of these progressive ideals put forward, you're really going to see none of that under Biden. So we've seen people like Kyle Kulinski with a very controversial take coming out and saying he's not going to vote for Biden. Right? He's not going to do it. He feels like the progressive ideals were not really paid attention to by the Democratic Party, and so he's not going to do it. And I get that. So we'll discuss that point of view, and then later on, I'm going to give my take on, from my perspective, what is the for me, what is the right thing to be doing? Every individual is going to feel a little bit differently about this and is going to have a different opinion about how they should be exercising their democracy. So let's go ahead and let's dive right into it. So here is Kyle Kulinski's tweet, which got a lot of reaction both on Twitter and YouTube, and really got a lot of attention. But I think what we want to do here is, rather than have an immediate reaction and start attacking other people's opinions on this, I think it's really important that we slow down and listen. Listen to what people are saying. And even if I don't agree 100% with what Kyle Kulinski is saying, I think there's a fair amount of truth and reality in what he's saying. And so we're going to take a look at the individual issues and what can be done about this, right? So here's the tweet. As a left-winger who will not vote for Biden, I want you to know I'm 100% okay with you blaming me if Trump wins a second term. I mean it. Blame me. Then get to thinking real hard how you're going to get me to support your candidate the next time. Maybe even ask me. I'll tell you. Okay, so then Twitter blew up about this, and lots of people have their reaction. So we're going to kind of dig into this and why it's actually really understanding that a lot of people who were set on voting for Bernie are turning around and saying, what, Biden? I'm supposed to vote for Biden now? And I get it. I don't understand how we ended up with Biden. We had over 20 people to choose from. How is this the choice we made? We're making the same choice we did 4 years ago. We're picking the candidate that no one likes. No one wants to vote for Biden, just like no one wanted to vote for Clinton. This is not a good strategy. Tried it last time. It totally failed. But I get this point of view of people saying, well, I consider myself a progressive. That doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to vote as a Democrat, right? I don't necessarily consider myself a Democrat. If you look at my voting record for a long time, it's in line with the Democrats, but that's not really how I identify my ideas, right? But really, my ideals are very closely aligned with what Bernie Sanders is doing. So then when you turn around and you look at Joe Biden and you go, this is what I'm supposed to do right now? This is what you want me to vote for? You really go, why? Why would I do that? Like what from a policy perspective, what is going to be gained from voting for Biden, right? So most progressives, you're looking for what? You're looking for healthcare for all, or at least a drastically expanded healthcare system over what we currently have, like a major change, a revolutionary type change to our healthcare system in one form or another, so that people have the right to healthcare like they have in many, many established countries. But we've decided this richest country in the history of the world can't afford it. We can't make that happen here. We're tired of hearing that. Okay, college, either free college or extremely affordable college for all people. This is getting out of control too, right? We need people to be able to go to college. The more people in this country that have access to college, that means we'll be better educated, well-informed about history and politics and all sorts of stuff, which is going to help us be a stronger country, going to help us make good decisions going forward. We're going to have more people that can start businesses and have innovative ideas. We need people having access to college. Okay, we're looking at what? Stronger worker unions. Our unions have been getting beat down for over 40 years. They've really been getting beat down, especially with the cases going to the Supreme Court. This isn't really great for unions. Who is the candidate that's been talking about unions this whole time? It's always Bernie, right? You turn around and tell me now I got to deal with Joe Biden. It's not real exciting there. Okay, climate change. Talking about actual climate change, not I guess we'll go back and we'll sign up for the Paris Agreement or whatever Biden has planned in climate. But I have no faith at all that he's going to step in and do the kind of things for the climate, the innovative, interesting ideas that could not only help the economy, but also get us back on track for our environment. I don't see that coming out of Biden, right? That's not going to happen. Criminal justice reform, anti-billionaire sentiment. I don't see these things with Joe Biden. So if you're someone who this list of things is important to you, and these are the policies that you care about, why would you vote for Joe Biden? Why would you? You're not going to see significant improvement on any of these fronts. On any of them. You will not see it in a Joe Biden presidency. So that's why I get it. If your big concern, the way that you're judging things right now is policy, and that's how we usually do things, that's kind of normal. You look at two candidates, you look at their policies, and then you decide what you're going to do about it. That makes sense that you'd go, well, yeah, I'm not going to vote for either one of them. Neither one of them is going to get my vote. If we just look at Biden as a candidate, what are we looking at? We're looking at a credible sexual assault allegation. That's not good, right? He's got, at best, a shaky history on race, right? We could make an entire super long video where there was just people debating Joe Biden's history on race. And at the very least, you could come up with a very good argument that he's not really what we need in modern day society when it comes to race, right? He's got some marks against him in his history, all right? He's historically come out as saying he's someone who is willing to cut Social Security. That's not what progressives are looking for, is to cut Social Security. Looking to increase Social Security type programs, right? So that more people are being covered by programs in this country. We've got mental and physical health concerns about Joe Biden. We've all seen the clips where he's talking and then seems to forget where he is or what he's doing or how things are working. This is pretty shaky going into things. You have a lot of people that would classify him as an old school Republican, not a 2020 Republican, but you could make a case. There definitely is a debate to be had over whether he's actually fairly similar to, say, a 1980s Republican. Right? Maybe early 1990s Republican. Then he's not that far from that. Well, if you're a progressive, that's not what you're looking for. That's not what you're going to be interested in, right? Why should you go, especially if it's going to be dangerous to vote? Why would you risk your lives to go vote for a candidate that is basically going to work against the very things that you are looking for? All right. And what's his big achievement? What did he do in 8 years as vice president that changed the country, that we're all amazed at? Which is why I don't get why he got so much attention, just apparently from name recognition. People knew who he was. But what did he do with 8 years in office? Of any of the things we've talked about so far in this video, what did he progress? What did he push forward in that period of time? It's hard to think of something, right? He might have done a few things here and there, but it's pretty hard to come up with something to say, yep, Joe Biden did this and it made a huge difference in our lives. Okay. And then this whole thing coming down to the most electable candidate. Yeah, I was told that 4 years ago that Hillary Clinton was the most electable candidate. And we know how that turned out. It's like Clinton all over again, right? Are people going to be excited to vote for Joe Biden? Who gets pumped up about Joe Biden? How is Joe Biden going to change their lives in a way where they will line up down the block for hours to vote for Joe Biden? I don't see it. So my conclusion is that when it comes to policy, just strict policy, Biden is not gonna drive people to the polls. He's not gonna get people excited about voting for him. Okay. And so when you have these voting blocks that people talk about, now obviously in each voting block, everyone is a human being. Everyone's ideas are slightly different. But if you're in the black community and you decide that Joe Biden isn't serving you, then why would you show up to vote for him, right? Same thing if the Latino community doesn't think that Joe Biden is going to help them out. Why would they show up and vote for him? And it's the same thing if you're a Bernie Sanders supporter. If you sit there and you think, I was really into Bernie and his ideas, now they're telling me I got to vote for this guy, Joe Biden. Why again? Why am I doing it? And for a lot of people, the answer is that, well, he's not Trump, isn't really a good enough answer, right? You have to come up with something better than that. And so far, I mean, look how far we are into this. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard what makes Biden better than Trump other than, well, he isn't Trump.
We are in a terrible moment, an unprecedented moment. And I know we share the understanding that we've got to go forward. right now and out of this in an unprecedented way to address the terrible pain that so many of our fellow Americans are feeling. So today I am asking all Americans, I'm asking every Democrat, I'm asking every independent, I'm asking a lot of Republicans to come together in this campaign to support your candidacy, which I endorse, to make certain that we defeat somebody who I believe, and I'm speaking just for myself now, is the most dangerous president in the modern history of this country.
So there it is, right? Even coming out of Bernie Sanders' mouth. You got to vote for this guy because he's not Trump, right? Okay, so I get Bernie Sanders really doesn't want Trump in office again. I don't want Trump in office again. A lot of us don't. I don't think there's really too many, even the people I think who were Bernie supporters, they don't really want Trump in office anyways, but they did just get pretty burned by the whole process. So I get that line of reasoning. But here we go again, right? Bernie's giving his big endorsement, and the main reason that he gives, well, we got to beat this guy Trump. So, at some point, they're going to have to start giving people a reason to show up to the polls other than, well, he's not Trump. It's not Trump. Okay. You're going to have to do better than that. If the election was held today, my vote would be for Biden, right? So I gave all these reasons why I understand, like the Kyle Kulinski point of view, and it makes sense to me. Personally, for me, I feel like I need to vote. I feel like a vote needs to be cast for the president. The big difference to me is rule of law. Okay, so what we have seen in the last 4+ years is an absolute degradation of the rule of law in this country. Rule of law is being targeted by a number of different ways so that one party's at a big disadvantage and the other party is advantaged. So who am I most concerned about, right, in the next 4 years? Well, you've got Donald Trump, you've got Bill Barr, and you've got Mitch McConnell. These three individuals have been, and they're not the only ones, but they're kind of the big three, have been eroding our democracy. So you have Mitch McConnell, who started before the Trump presidency, just decided we don't give Supreme Court picks to Democrats anymore. Just not going to do it. Right? So totally breaking down the Constitution. The Constitution lays out how that's supposed to work. Mitch McConnell just said, not doing it, and you're not going to do anything about it. And effectively, no one did anything about it. So he just got away with it. Don't think that that's like a one-time thing. That's going to happen again. Right? You don't think they're going to try to mess up Biden's picks if Biden does end up winning? Yeah, we need people who are following actual rule of law. We've seen Bill Barr this entire time between how he handled the Mueller report, between how he's handled the Department of Justice, who gets investigated, who isn't going to get investigated. This stuff is just straight up corruption. You don't even have to look very long at it, and you can just see, oh, clearly he was put in there to protect Trump. Right? That's what the DOJ is right now, just protection of Trump. So Bill Barr is breaking things down, and we all see on a daily basis how Donald Trump is breaking things down, just ignoring rules, just doing things that don't matter, right? Effectively, he should have been kicked out. The Mueller report should have been enough, right? But then the Americans just decided they weren't going to support that. So then we had to go around with an actual impeachment for other reasons. Those weren't enough. Right? They're all working together. He literally can do anything, and they will not find him guilty. That, under those kinds of conditions, our democracy is not going to last very long. Right? I would say our democracy right now is in tatters, barely hanging on. And if we go another 4 years like this, I don't think there will be a democracy. I don't think we will have anything close to even what we have now, which I don't even think is close to what we had 4 years ago. It's just a constant degradation. I need to be able to know that the world I'm handing off to my children was the best world that I could come up with. It needs to be a world of rule of law. Because if we don't get rule of law under control, then do you think we have any chance of getting health care for everybody? You think we have any chance of affordable college? If we don't even have democracy and rule of law, isn't going to happen. And I think in this case, we need some serious voter turnout. It is unlikely about the Senate getting flipped, but it is a possibility. If we saw a massive blue wave, and Biden is not the kind of person that's going to motivate a massive blue wave, but if we could get a lot of people voting this time, Possibly even the Senate could get turned, and then maybe we could get back to some kind of governmental normalcy where there's actually governing taking place. But if McConnell is sitting there playing the same games that he's been playing, he's just going to keep getting backed by big money. They're just going to all keep following his lead and acting completely corruptly. So I think we need a large voter turnout. We need everyone they can voting to hopefully get the Senate flipped and hopefully hold on to the House, right? But maybe even get the Senate and maybe even the presidency. And yeah, if all three were blue, Biden's not really the guy you want, steering things, but I do think it's significantly better than Trump, right? Republicans are full on waging war against democracy however they can, between the gerrymandering and the voter suppression, and then, just looking the other way when he clearly needs to be found guilty of crimes. They're not going to do it. And this isn't a situation where they're just going to get tired of doing these bad actions. What they have learned is they can get away with it. They've learned the playbook, and they're going to keep enacting it. Bill Barr's not going to stop. Mitch McConnell's not going to stop. And the Republicans, the Jim Jordans and the Gates, these guys aren't going to stop. They're just going to keep doing what they're doing. In fact, they will probably elevate it because they saw how effective it has been for them in the last 4 years. These kinds of people need to be stopped. Right? And Supreme Court picks, do we really want Donald Trump and the Republicans getting more Supreme Court picks? We've already totally damaged the Supreme Court for generations to come. Do we want to add another generation on that, right, before we can actually start putting people like Ruth Bader Ginsburg in there? I'd rather see that happening sooner rather than later, because it's becoming clear that's a major part of the plan, right, is taking over the judiciary through McConnell, and that's what's being done, both at the Supreme Court and the lower federal courts. They're taking it over so they can be in control of how all these lawsuits move through things, right? That needs to be stopped, right? Because again, if we don't get democracy back, we're not going to see these other things on our wish list. They will never happen. So for me, it's not about policy. It's about trying to regain democracy, because there's no way the Republicans are going to help us rebuild democracy. The Democrats, right, if we could get, a little more, if we could maybe flip the Senate, maybe we could actually get some laws passed so that we can address gerrymandering, so that we can address voter suppression, so that we can address these things which are actually making the democracy slip away from all of us, okay? So that's the video. Thanks for checking it out. Make sure to subscribe so that you can catch all the new content as it becomes available, and we'll see you soon.